the Indian Removal Act of May 1830. This was that act that an act of Congress and that was voted on by the Senate and Congress to remove Indian tribes to I guess what we could now call reservations, and it's associated with the Trail of Tears. I guess that's sort of an optic of a trail of Indian people getting pushed out of lands to because we didn't want them there. Because some didn't want them there. And I'll just give you some basic facts, and you can research these things for yourself. Andrew Jackson was the president and in support of the Indian Removal Act. Andrew Jackson was a Democrat, and the Democratic Party was very much in favor of the removal of the Indian tribes, the Cherokees and many others, from basically telling them to take a hike. The Chickasaws, the Cochow, the McCuskey Creek Seminoles, the original Cherokee nations, and other tribes. In opposition to the Indian Removal Act was the Whig Party, and some of you may have heard of Davy Crockett. Somebody my age certainly would have heard of Davy Crockett. I didn't know much about Davy Crockett as a child, but he was kind of like up there and revered like Daniel Boone or, you know, others. He was a politician with the Whig Party. And apparently the Whig Party and as I've been reading, Christian missionaries, the Christian right, and many other groups opposed the Indian Removal Act. Davy Crockett is probably one of the notable ones because he did a speech on it on Congress floor, and the Indians. I was just reading that they had a nickname for Andrew Jackson. I believe they called him Sharp Knife. It doesn't sound complimentary. So I'd like to say that people will say that the Democratic Party has changed, but we'll go through some more history in the future. I just give a little bit of of what I've read. And you know, I think that probably in 20 years, if you don't figure out your history now, they're going to change it to what they like. But at any rate, Google, investigate, research. The Library of Congress is a good tool. And just see for yourself who supported the Indian Removal Act and who resisted it. And I will end with this, that the Whig Party eventually fell, and as I've been reading, the Whig Party was the opposition party to the Democratic Party. And what happened was the Whig Party fell out of power in and around the Civil War time because although they opposed slavery, they didn't quite oppose it vehemently enough to satisfy some of their members. The Republican Party was born, and many, many, many members of the Whig Party joined the Republican Party. So, with that, I'd love to, for you to challenge history. Who were the good guys? The Republicans. The Whigs were the good guys in 1830. And the Whigs are the predecessors of the Republican Party. So that's just a little 5-minute thing on the Indian Removal Act that caused the Trail of Tears, which you could also investigate the Trail of Tears to find out exactly what took place and what the opinions were when these things happened. And who rationalized the removal of the Indians and who opposed the removal of the Indians. So with that, I'm going to go on my merry way and I'm going to maybe take a bicycle ride today. So thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, I am going to talk about, I'm becoming passionate about the whole student loan issue and college, mainly because it's hit home with me. So I'm going to do a little thing on student loans, and I'm going to do a bunch of things. So have a lovely day, my Republican and my Democratic friends, and take care.